Welcome to Generous Impact. My name is Brett Brummett.
And my name is Amanda Brummett. We are joined today by Kevin Reichle and Alliance Samuragwa of More Than Welcome. Kevin is the president of the board, and Alliance is the executive director and a good friend of Brett's. They help refugees and asylum seekers successfully transition into the community and make them feel more than welcome in the process.
In this episode, you'll hear Alliance's own refugee story, whereby trying to make his own country more peaceful, he was tortured, left for dead, and eventually made his way to Austin, Texas, where he now makes refugees feel more than welcome.
Well, Alliance and Kevin, thank you so much for being here today with Brett and I. We really appreciate your time. I would love for both of you to give the audience a little bit of background on yourself personally. We'll get into More Than Welcome in a second, but let's start with you guys personally. And Alliance, can you go first?
Yeah, so my name is Alliance Samuragwa. I've been in the US almost 10 years now, and then originally from Burundi. And then, I live here in Austin, Texas. I really love it.
And that is a French accent we hear. Can you explain that?
Correct. Yes, in Burundi, we Belgium colony, people speak French. And then, I do speak French. So actually, I started to learn English when I moved here in the US, which means like almost 10 years ago. That's where I started. So before I came here in the US, I couldn't speak English. So I think the word that I knew before I came was yes. That's the word that I knew before I came. So that's French, but yes, that's French accent.
Awesome. I love it. Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you guys for having us on today. My name's Kevin Reichle, and I only speak English and some Spanglish. So Alliance has me beat. I think he speaks 5 or 6 languages. It's unbelievable. But I'm a software executive by trade and have lived in Austin for about 25 years. And so a long time. And met Alliance about 3 years ago, and my wife and I and our kiddos have a heart for the nations, and met Alliance and started dreaming about More Than Welcome a couple of years ago, and here we are today. So excited to share a little bit more with you guys.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us. And one thing that I want to ask you, Kevin, to explain before we even get into More Than Welcome, because I didn't understand the difference, is what's a refugee and what's an asylum seeker, just so everybody knows?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's one that's often confused amongst people. Essentially, an asylum seeker is someone that is seeking international protection from dangers that they're experiencing in their country. But they haven't been determined legally a refugee in the United States. So they really have no governmental support when they arrive here. Whereas a refugee, before they leave the country of origin, will get status, and then the U.S. government will bring them over and provide some governmental support for them. So at the highest level, that's the difference between the two.
Okay. And specifically, you mentioned escaping something dangerous. So if I'm looking for work or I just want a better life, I don't qualify as an asylum seeker or refugee, right?
You would be potentially categorized as an immigrant. I mean, immigrant is more of an umbrella term, but there are a lot of people that come to the U.S. just seeking a better life for themselves, whereas asylum seekers truly are fleeing from some sort of persecution. As it would.
Yeah, fantastic. Mm-hmm. And so, Alliance, I know for you went through this journey, and obviously I think it makes a lot of sense to share a little bit of the background of your personal story because it informs More Than Welcome, plus all the work you've been doing over the past better part of that decade that you got here. Yeah. So what was the condition you were running from or escaping from? I know a little bit, but I want everyone else to know too.
So in Burundi, we have a war that's been for decade between Hutu and Tutsi. So I was, this war started probably in 1960. So just born where there's a really hate, people could kill each other between Hutu and Tutsi for many years. So just grow up in that kind of environment, where we see people hate each other, kill each other between someone who's I am Hutu and I'm Tutsi. So that was kind of environment that I grew up in, and then this was really hard and then very terrible to see people dying because I am Tutsi or I'm Hutu. So that was the environment and I grew up. And then, so when in 2012, there was this movement that started where we wanted to bring Hutu and Tutsi to live in peace, that we can start to have a better country where no one is dying because it is Hutu, is Tutsi. Then we start to kind of have a campaign where we wanted to bring Burundian people to live in a better country. And then, so that was movement Student in Democracy. That was the name of that movement. And then, so we started to doing it, and then eventually people in Burundi started to love that, start to really want to be a part of that, and then so we started doing that. So the head of the person who was leading that, he even wanted to run for the president, that can really bring Burundian together. So then when he started doing that, we supported him. But doing that, the government didn't really like that at all, because they start to see how Burundian people love that, really wanted to be part of that. And then automatically they saw like, if the person who's going, if that person is going to run to be president, he'll be elected. And then because people would love, because they started to see Burundi people love that, and then they wanted to stop that, to stop everyone who was supporting him. And then so that was, I was in part of that people was targeting. So one day morning, police people came in my parents' house where I was living, and then they took me at the police station. So get tortured for 4 days, and then because they would ask me why am I supporting him, or who's the person I am with, that they can go catch them as well. And then so they will like ask me those questions, and then torture me. So on the 4th days, that because the torture was so high, I even like passed out, and then looked like I was I was dead. So on the 4th days, that's where they took me at the river. That no one, like when at least when they found my body, they would thought that I was dead I was drowned. So that's why they took me at the river. So when I was in the river, on the border of the river, that there's a person who was walk by, and then they saw me, tried to contact my parent, tried to talk to anyone who knows me, that they can come to rescue me. But thank God, I think my mom, it was a nurse, and then she came and tried to help me as she can. A few days recover a bit. My parents they was scared to death, and then because they were scared, like if the government, they were knew if I'm still alive, they may come back again to me. And then they sent me in Uganda. So in Uganda, I was a refugee for 3 months. But after that, the government started to know that there's a Burundian from our movement, that they were in Uganda. So they come after us in Uganda. The mission was like, if they find anyone, they will kill them on the spot, and no one will know what happened. So when I heard that, I stayed hidden, but I was like, I don't know how long they will stay around, but I choose to go back in Burundi. That if at least if something happened, my parents will know what happened to me. So I went back in my home. When I went back home, my parents was was scared. They're like, we don't know what to do. That's where they brought the family. So when the family's like, what should we do? That's where one of my uncle brother, let's try to apply for some visa to see which country can get him a visa. So that's where like I get in a US visa. And then that's I can tell always tell like it's a really miracle of God because usually to get US visa is really hard. It's the hardest maybe visa to get. And then from some miracle, I get that visa. So when I get that visa, so that's where I came in US in 2014. Yeah, that's where I landed in US. But when I came here is another story because that's where I started to seek asylum. So I almost 2 years without knowing where to live, without knowing like how to eat. And then also those 2 years I was seeking asylum. I didn't, I couldn't speak English. I didn't have any person help me to apply my asylum. So it was a journey. So that's after those 2 years of seeking asylum, that's where my heart started to really wanted to serve other refugees and asylum seeker because I realized how hard it is to become an asylum seeker or refugee in the US.
So, and I want to, it's a great story and we go back. And so from the time when you were sought out, were you part of like the political movement or were you just in like the volunteer state? What made you the target? Because I think that helps us like really understand other asylum seekers.
Correct. So yes, I was a part of, yes, because that movement, it became political because because the goal will want to bring Burundian people together. And then I was helping the person who was in the head of that movement. And then so the government wanted to stop everyone who was helping the person to run for become a president.
That's why they pulled you out of your family house and no one else. Was the rest of your family part of that movement? Or
No, I was the only one. Yes.
I'm assuming there's not a lot of contact once you're essentially on the run or in.
No.
Yeah. And then once you get to the States, you said you didn't like know the language, didn't know the system, where to live. What is that like the day you enter to where you're finding the spot to sleep the first night? What does that look like?
That's a good question. Yes, that's a good question because literally when you are sick, when you are running for your life, you just run and then you completely don't know how it's gonna be tomorrow. Literally, it's like tomorrow by tomorrow. So when I came here, I was really fortunate to have a person who I ended up knowing that when I came, for me, I thought he was gonna help me to come to see us to be in this journey. But after he helped me. He was there for the airport, but he's like, hey, after 1 week, he was like, hey, this is it. The only thing I wanted to help you is just to help you to get here, and then that's it. Wow. And then I was, and then at the time I was 21 or 22, and then I was like, wow. And he gave me a few days, like literally, but because I get here was probably Monday, and he's like, next Monday you have to be out of my house, and then that's it. I was like, that was like where I feel like I was like, I don't know what to do now. And then
and do you have money at this point? Are you able to make money?
no. So
Yeah.
when you are asylum seeker, you are not eligible to work until you apply your asylum. And then after applying for asylum, you can be eligible to, when you don't hear from the immigration, after 5 months, you can apply for for a work permit. But before that, you cannot work. So typically that time not have money and then not eligible to work because that after it took me almost 2 years to be able to apply for my work permit.
Wow.
So you can't even apply to work until you've been here for 5 months.
Yes. No, I was eligible to, because for seeking asylum and to apply, it took me 1 year and a half. And then after 1 year, that 1 year and a half, that's where I was able to have eligibility to apply for my work permit.
So between the time you arrive, your adjustment, you're brought in, you've got someone to greet you, and then you've got to figure out the whole system on your own. Um, I'm assuming not a lot of resources of any kind.
No.
Like, is that a typical story or an atypical story?
That typical story for an asylum, because there is nothing that is there for an asylum seeker while they are seeking asylum here.
And
and add to that they've just incurred a trauma. If they've gone through something like, I mean, I feel like as a American, like if we'd gone through something like that, I'd get 6 months off work just to get my life straight.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And so do you find other refugees, other asylum seekers that essentially teach you how to live in a subculture of like employment, money, food, housing, shelter?
Yes. You asked me if we still have some refugee who are.
Well, I mean, like when you went through that, like how fast were you able to connect to other people that were going on the same thing?
While I was going through that, I think I didn't know where to find other refugees, or I didn't know where, it was completely hard to find where other, because I feel like, as you say, if you know someone, if you have other refugee, that may it probably be better. But I think it took me probably a year and a half just to find other probably refugee who can help me a little bit.
And so is this, I mean, your journey, is this what the catalyst for you to start More Than Welcome? Was the refugee part, or is it deeper than that?
So just maybe quick version. So after that 2 years seeking asylum, I started to, because after getting my work permit, and I started to just to figure out a little bit, in my life a little bit, I really went back just to start to serve refugees, to help the little experience probably I know, or where I went to. I started to doing that, and then I doing that for 5 years by my own, and then just to help them, to serve them as much as I can. That was probably my small ability to do that, doing for 5 years. And then after the 5 years, I started to be a residency at my church, the church I go to, Gateway Church. So when I was doing my residency, and then I did the residency, and then even I get hired at Gateway, started to work, and that's where I met Kevin. And then because Kevin go to another church called Wayside, so in the Wayside, they every 5th of Sunday, they usually do community service, and then in that community service, they really serve refugees. So, and then through those, that's why I met with Kevin. And then when I met with Kevin, that's where we start to dream about More Than Welcome, how we can create a space where many church, or many people in the Austin area, because I feel like what we experienced with Kevin and I is there are many people here in Austin don't know what's going on, don't know about refugees, don't know about asylum seeker, and that's why hey, how can we create a space where we can bring community? Literally, we want to create community between refugees and people from Austin. We can become one, and then because we believe here in Austin, there are people who'd love to serve, to love refugee, but don't know how. And then how can you create a space that they can come, and then we can we can show where a refugee or asylum seeker were there. And then there are many also refugee and asylum seeker wanted to meet people from Austin, but don't know how. So how can, and then, so it's like just literally to become a hub where refugees or people from Austin really want to, you know, to serve, and then they can come to us. So that's where we started More Than Welcome.
Fantastic. And Kevin, from your aspect of organization and the board, what does More Than Welcome do today?
Yeah, it's a spectrum of things. If you can imagine, just from Alliance's story, for someone arriving in Austin, Texas, and they don't know where to live or where to get food or how to apply for status or how to get their kids enrolled in school, let alone, you know, learn how to speak English, which is very difficult. We really saw this as a way to create an organization that comes alongside asylum seekers and refugees. And really what we're wanting them to do is not just survive when they get here, but to build a life where they can actually thrive in our community. And thriving to us, yes, it does mean meeting basic needs and things like that, but they really want to build meaningful friendships and community when they get here. A lot of them have experienced trauma, and then they're completely isolated in their apartments because they don't have any friends, or they don't have transportation, or whatever that is, or don't speak the language, and they're kind of scared to talk or engage with others. And so we really want to form relationships and community for them. But as Allianz said, we also just want to be sort of a centralized hub where refugees and asylum seekers can come to get help and to get care. And so the way we kind of see that is almost like, Uber if is just a platform, right, that sits in the middle, and somebody wants a ride and somebody wants to give a ride. What we're endeavoring to do is unite volunteers and churches, so we can have a lot of people that are engaged around this and willing to help this population and get involved. And then on the other side, we really want to go deep and understand the needs of these people when they come to us. So, the example I always give is if you think about somebody that just arrives in Pflugerville, Texas, and maybe they speak French like Allianz, and they've got 3 kids, and by trade, let's say they were a teacher back in their home country. If we had a bunch of volunteers lined up and gave us a lot of their information, like, we could potentially find someone that is a teacher that has kids that may speak French, that lives in the Pflugerville area. And if we were able to intentionally match those people to come alongside, like, how much deeper is that relationship from day one than just saying, hey, this random person, go meet with this family, and we don't train them or anything like that. So we are endeavoring to train and educate on the front end of this as well. But we really, it's everything, Brett, to your question. It's learning them ESL classes. It is applying for benefits. It's helping them enroll their kids in school. It's educating them on how to use the public transportation system. It's helping them to find employment, write resumes. I was just sitting with a friend today, helping him apply for his U.S. citizenship. So it's a lot of things, and More Than Welcome. It's also probably important to say we're not trying to provide all of these services for people. So Allianz and I are also having a lot of conversations with partner organizations. So kind of, we call it like a hub and a spoke model, but building out all these partners that can provide services. So we've got 2 medical providers that provide free healthcare for refugees and asylum seekers lined up, so that when those families come to us, we can point them to these organizations that provide free care. Cap Metro has given us a lot of free bus passes, for instance, that we can give out to refugees and asylum seekers that need to use the bus to get to school, or to get to English class, or to get to their job. And one other thing I would say too is the way we talk a lot about asylum seekers, but refugees, while they are recognized by the government and they come here, typically only receive about 3 months of support, and then they're kind of launched, if you will. And if you think about all the things Allianz described in his story, 3 months is a blink of an eye, and you're not very far down the road in terms of thriving in Austin, Texas. And so we really want to also come alongside the refugees as they come out of the government support stage and into the Austin, living in Austin and thriving in Austin stage. So it's a little bit about More Than Welcome and what we're doing today.
What a beautiful organization. And I love that you're not just providing services, that you are truly trying to make these people feel welcome and feel like they're in a community. I am curious, Kevin, you mentioned a couple other organizations. Are there other places in Austin that offer similar services to More Than Welcome?
World Relief is an organization that we partner with, and they have just been approved to accept refugees as they land in Austin and to provide that first 3 months of support to them. And so that's been a huge win. We've been tracking along with World Relief for a couple of years now, and they did not have a presence in Austin, but we were praying and hoping that they would. And so now they do. And so that's an organization, again, that's helping the refugees on the front end. There are, like for instance, Allianz at Gateway, his church has a group that goes out and serves the asylum seekers and the refugees. And so there are churches in Austin that do provide some of these services. But like I said, what we're trying to do is trying to unite all the churches and all the volunteers that are interested in doing this, where they have an easy place to come to see what the needs are, and we can help facilitate those more intentional relationships from the get-go and build that community quicker and deeper. So yeah, hopefully that helps. There are some pockets of things that are happening, but we saw a need to really try to centralize the effort here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, sort of going back a little bit, because Allianz, you shared a little bit on your timeline. How long do people typically need help through an organization like More Than Welcome? How long does it take from the day you can go from asylum seeker to refugee? And going back to the work part, my mind is blown, because you hear people say all the time, oh, well, they should just go get a job, which it sounds like most refugees would love to do. So
Yeah.
can you kind of
Absolutely.
walk us through what a typical timeline is there?
Yes, definitely. So, as probably even maybe just to go back a little bit, as Kevin mentioned, so More Than Welcome right now, More Than Welcome is like the only organization right now that's serving asylees, because there's there's maybe what they leave, they probably serve refugees, but most of the time, like More Than Welcome is like only organization that's serving asylees. So to your point, so asylum seeker, I mean, from the day one here, they arrive here to where they can apply, because first and foremost, they need a lawyer who can help them to apply asylum. So most of the time, so working with a lawyer only sometimes can take you between 8 and 12 months working on your case, because most of the time your lawyer, or yes, you see, there's a time there's a process to find a lawyer, and then when you find a lawyer, it's a time to meet with a lawyer, and then to start to work with that lawyer, and then literally that can take you between 12 months on that. And then after you submit your case, you have to wait. If you don't hear from the immigration, you have to wait another 5 months. So when you wait that 5 months, and then if you don't hear anything from the government, you are eligible to apply your work permit. So after those 5 months, you have to have other 3 months. Usually that's a window that you get your work permit. After those 3 months. But after COVID, things change. Before COVID, you probably have like a window for 3 months that we were usually can get work permit. But after COVID, because I think in many cases, I think now you can have another 5 months to get your work permit. So that's the window for, it's 12 months, 5 months, 17 months, and then after that, and then at 3 months is 20 months just to get your work permit if you don't hear from the government. So typically it's 20 months when you are on an unknown journey.
From that point, I mean, you've got to have a lot of skills learned of survival. You're out there helping through that time process. I mean, I know you've told me in that you were depressed through that era and felt very alone and isolated. So, like, that's driving you to create More Than Welcome and come along and build the community. I mean, how many of you do we need?
Wow, that's a great question. So I feel like I'm okay. I think I want to mention something here. I feel like through this journey, I met with great people, really great people. And one of them is Kevin. I think Kevin right now is the reason why we even start with More Than Welcome, because what I was doing myself, I won't, there is no way I probably keep that that journey and then be effective. But I think right now, with More Than Welcome, the way we wanted to do it, we we want to bring many caseworker. I think we get there at some point. That way we can multiply our effort, because what I was doing myself, yes, is but I feel like literally through this journey I've met with people, really great people that we can continue to serve together. And then that's why even right now we're getting a point where we want to multiply our effort, that I can't doing that myself, because with myself we can have many, we can have big impact. But right now we want to really have a big impact, and then that we can either, we continue to serve really well our refugees and asylum seeker. Also in the same time, we can create a space for people from in our community that they can come alongside.
So just to put some concrete numbers around that, we've got hundreds of families right now that need assistance. We've done sort of the calculation on the time that a caseworker would need to dedicate per family, and they could probably handle about 20 families concurrently. And so to answer your questions, we need 10 plus alliances. And there's more people that are coming that need assistance. And so, right now, Allianz and I are working to fundraise for More Than Welcome. But, we really could hire several caseworkers right now and still be understaffed to meet the need for the people that are even on our radar right now, currently.
And so I know you're doing as much as you can with volunteers, sweat labor time. What are you doing to, number one, find those volunteers, finding people to come alongside, and then how are you keeping them from, being burned out?
Oh, wow. That's great. I feel like one thing I do for, one thing we probably do for volunteers is to make sure that first and foremost, they're doing okay. Because that's, I'm trying to do really great on that part, but I feel like to be able to serve, you have to be kind of, maybe doing okay. And then I'm trying my best to make sure that, asking, check on them, to make sure that they, how they are, at least that we can keep in touch with them, but also in the same time, sharing how, because right now we share our newsletter, we make sure that they know what's going on, and then they still they still be aware what that what they're doing is impacting people's life. Literally is everything everything you do is impacting someone's life. Is and then try to make sure that is keep alive. And then I think, and then also, also you asked me how can we find the volunteers? We ask people around, our friends, people that we go to church, that they can, we still try to, ask people that can come alongside, and then also to make sure that, we still encourage them and also make sure that they're taking care of. Yes. I don't know if Kevin, you want to add something from that?
Yeah, we've met with over a dozen churches to talk about more than welcome and to explain the opportunity for their people to come alongside what God is doing in Austin, Texas. And so that's also, they've been very excited to share some of that information with their congregations, to put that in some of their newsletters. I think one church is actually having kind of a partner fair that we've been invited to, where we can go and set up a table and explain what we do. And so there's various avenues that we're seeking to wrangle up volunteers. And I would just follow up on inspiration. I would say, just having done this firsthand, Allianz and I have both kind of been in the trenches on some of these cases. Like, when you see small wins, man, it puts the wind in your sails. When the kids go to school for the first day, or they get a job, and they're so excited. And it may be a job, like we talked about before, it may be washing dishes, but they're so happy to be gainfully employed. And so just the excitement, the passion that they have for the small wins that they get really fuels the volunteers. It makes you feel like you're making a really meaningful difference in somebody's life. So,
Kevin, I think I caught you saying earlier that you were helping a friend apply for citizenship, which to me sounds like a huge win. You guys have shared so many unique things about your organization. What are you most proud of?
Oh goodness, I think it's the stories. When we have some dear friends. Allianz obviously is one of my best friends, but we have other friends that have become part of our church. They've become part of our friend group. I always tell this story. We met an asylum seeker, and she was having a baby. She didn't really know anything about having a baby or what she needed to have the baby, and so our church ended up throwing her a baby shower, which we didn't think much of at the time. But it was a great celebration, and she learned how to put a diaper on her baby and swaddle a baby and all these things. It had such a meaningful impact on her, that small act, that she named the baby after my wife. So it's like it's so those kind of things, like you don't, in your mind, you don't think they're that big of a deal, but to these people it is an incredible blessing. And so I think just for us, the wins have been those kind of moments where you're like, goodness gracious, we are really changing some lives here. So it's really fun to do that. Allianz, I don't know if you would add anything to that.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's like, as probably what Kevin mentioned, it's like where you see people who are very desperate, and then when you meet them, feel like they were, they were hopeless. But after serving them, and then after a few days, we start to see like like a smile on their face. You feel like they still have a hope. They still feel like, because when they come in this land, they come with their unknowns, like how are we gonna be able to find people gonna serve that? So just to see after a few days and a few months and years that sharing how grateful they are. Something I usually share our volunteers most of the time, because here, when someone, our volunteer, when go to serve, they usually they always think like, oh, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Which is great, but most of the time it's like your presence, you coming to the apartment, that means a lot for them, because it's like, oh wow, there is someone who cares. There is someone who's here for me, and then that fact really, really touch their heart. They feel like so. And then to hear those stories, like, oh, I never see someone from Austin will come to see me, will never come to my apartment. So to hear this story, to hear how they have smiled, how they have hope, that's like, oh, things gonna be okay. So to hear that they have hope, then so that's, I feel like every time make us like really wanted to do it again. So I think that inspired us again to keep going at.
That is so heartwarming. And Allianz, as somebody who lives in a world of key performance indicators, I'm going to remember next time that smiles matter and that we can
Yes,
measure success by that.
yes,
Yes,
it does.
absolutely.
Yes.
Well, you guys have done such a good job of explaining what a beautiful organization you've put together. And I know you're still a new organization, but I can tell by your passion that you're moving fast and improving things. So, what's next for More Than Welcome?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, we're out fundraising right now to bring on our first caseworker. We've been lucky to have a donor give us an office, so we've set up an office recently here in Austin, and they also gave us an apartment where we put a family from Angola a couple of weeks ago. So that was a beautiful thing, and so we just continue to do the best we can with our volunteer staff right now to understand the needs of what's going on and serve the people that we've been serving. And then, as I mentioned, we're meeting a lot with partners and church organizations around Austin, trying to build up our partner network right now. So a lot going on. Allianz, I'll let you chime in. You're also busy these days.
Yeah, that I feel like as probably Kevin mentioned, literally right now we're trying to do our best to really fundraising that we can hire our caseworker, and then also we are trying to we are looking for volunteers as well, because I think that's as much we are fundraising, also we still have many need. Also that's why we are so thankful for our volunteer staff that are doing the best to do, right now. But also in the same time, we feel like can be hard at some point because the need is keep growing it, but without having maybe a caseworker, and then that it make us a little bit harder. So I think right now we really like wanted to move forward just to fundraising that we can hire, and then also we can continue to serve, because literally right now, even yesterday, even tomorrow, we have like many families who are coming in our office to meet that they can talk to us, and then really like having many families and then that need a lot of support, but very short because we don't have our caseworker. People can help us to do that. So really, we wanted to do that, to be able to have to hire and then continue to serve and love our friend, refugee, and asylum seeker.
That's amazing. So, we've invited you guys because obviously you guys inspire us. The work, the mission, the smiles. You guys have it all the time in abundance, which is amazing given all you go through. But we want to just know, like for Allianz, for you, and for Kevin, for you, like whose work is inspiring you these days?
Allianz is. I tell him all the time I'm his biggest fan, and like 4 or 5 people will argue me over it. They'll fight me. Those are fighting words for some people, but I mean, truly, I'm so inspired by Allianz. When I met him 3 years ago, just his heart for other people is unlike anybody's heart I've ever seen before. He could be completely focused on building a life for himself here and doing things, but he selflessly serves every single day for others. And so, I mean, truly, I've told him this off camera before, but I'll tell him on camera. He is a true inspiration to me. So
thank you, Kevin. Wow, I don't know what to say now, but I think for me, I feel like, okay, as probably I mentioned, literally, I am inspired. Like, one thing maybe because all those 2 years, maybe that the reason why I didn't say many details, that I think I really met a great person in my journey, and then to see when I was in that journey seeking asylum, I feel like there's many people who touch my life, and then who I met, and then but also I think they were, I don't know, they were doing a lot in me, just to me, to like what people I met my journey here in the US by serving me. It was amazing. I think that inspired me, but to see how just how can you meet with someone stranger and bless you or do something, and then so I feel like And then, so till that journey, till now, there is a great people that I usually meet. And as I mentioned, Kevin is like one of the person that, I don't know, still like since day one of May until now, he's, the way, him and his family, the way they love and serve refugee, but with other many people too as well. I feel like all those things that it will encourage me just to keep doing it, because like, hey, there is let's keep doing this, what we're doing it. And it's like literally I try to tell myself, let me do my part, it's like, let me do my part as like to, but also I feel like there is a great example that God provided my life that can keep looking at it, and then that helped me to keep moving. So that really, I think the community, people around me, really great, have like a great impact and then continue to inspire me.
Beautiful. Well, Kevin, Alliance, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be on the podcast today. And thank you so much for your hearts to make refugees feel more than welcome in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, it was wonderful to be with you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, Kevin and Alliance are doing some amazing things for refugees and asylum seekers. I don't think they specifically said this in the show, so I want to. Alliance has personally helped over 1,000 refugees. That's a huge number. I cannot imagine escaping a dangerous situation only to land in a country where I didn't speak the language, have no place to stay, and have no way of earning a living. I also had no idea that the process was so long for people to get refugee status and even a work permit. Well, I'm thankful that people like Alliance and Kevin have a heart for this work and have created More Than Welcome. If you want to learn more about their work, check them out at morethanwelcome.org.